Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly. I hope you are well and staying safe. In this video, we have a look back at some of our favourite gear launches of 2020 so far. So back in January, most of the major equipment brands in golf launched new equipment for the year, and we had the chance to go out to Orlando to the PGA show to find out what those new gear launches were, and we also got the chance to test everything. And then most of us got put on lockdown, and so I suspect for many of you watching this, you won't have had the chance to have tested new equipment, and you probably won't have had the chance to really think about what new gear you might want to invest in for the season ahead. So we thought that with the strictest of the lockdown restrictions being lifted here in the UK slowly, we thought that now is a good idea to remind you of what those big equipment launches were, so that if you are thinking about buying new clubs for 2020, that this offers a little bit of inspiration. So what you're going to watch is a conversation between myself and Joel Tadman from Golf Monthly, where we talk about our 10 favourite gear launches of 2020 so far. Guys, if you haven't done already, please do hit the subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss any of our videos. Hit the little notification bell as well, so that whenever we publish something, you'll get a notification saying so. And also, if you like what you're watching, hit the like button as well. But let's take a look at the 10 best equipment launches of 2020 so far. Okay, Joel, so we're going to look at our 10 favourite gear launches of 2020, things that I guess people might have missed from the start of the year. I've got my 5, which are stashed over here next to me. But let's start with yours. Start with your favourite gear launch of the year so far.
Okay, so my favourite gear launch of the year so far is this Ping G710 iron. It's a pretty drastic change in look for Ping in the game improvement sector, and I really like what Ping have done with this club in the fact that it is a game improvement club aimed at high handicappers, but it feels like a player's club, and because it's got that darker finish, it looks really sleek and compact behind the ball. And the thing that really stands out with this iron compared to other irons in this category is how consistent it is. So this isn't offering golfers more distance compared to most game improvement irons promising golfers more distance. And the lofts are the same with this club as they were the G700. So this isn't about hitting the ball further. This is about hitting the golf ball more consistently and hitting your distances more consistently. So the distance between your shortest and longest hits, I found from testing this club, was much smaller with this. And that is ultimately what your iron shots are all about. It's not about how far you hit it. It's about how far your bad shots go, how far your good shots go. And the smaller there is a gap between those two, the better. And this one was stand out head and shoulders above most other irons in this category, if not all of them.
Now, Joel, I take it from the black finish that Ping have decided that they wanted to create something that was quite big in order to put all of that technology into the iron, but they made it black in order so it looks a little bit smaller and more compact down behind the ball. Firstly, is that true? And secondly, what did you think of the black finish when you were testing it?
Yeah, no, that definitely is true. Compared to the silver finish of G700, this does look smaller. I think that it is actually a little bit smaller, but it has been made more forgiving through the weighting and various other things. So it will definitely look more compact like a player's iron. You've got a light section at the front which frames the ball really well. I'm not a fan of using dark irons. I prefer like a chrome finish, but I know a lot of golfers out there like the different look of a dark iron, and I think this will really appeal to a lot of golfers, really.
Good. Okay, so I'm gonna choose my first pick, which is this guy.
Unsurprisingly.
Yes, Mizuno St200. This is the G version of that driver, so you can tell that by the two movable weights that sit in the sole. And it has this very sort of simple, classic carbon composite look down behind the ball. And I really like this because I actually liked the previous generation version of this driver. It had that same really simple, classic look, and it performed really well. This one built on that previous generation. It performed excellently, and it sort of surprised me because when I did the big driver test for Golf Monthly at the start of the year, we tested TaylorMade and Callaway and Ping and Titleist and Cobra. And the Mizuno driver wasn't in that test because it hadn't arrived in time. And then I knew it was coming, but I didn't expect it to really stack up quite as well as it did, and it really is up there in terms of something that you should consider with all of the other premium brands. But there are 3 different heads in the range. They all look the same. They all look really classy and they look good behind the ball. This one, I think the RRP of this one is 399, the G, but the other 2, the ST200 and the ST200X, I think are both RRP 349. So this does offer some really good value for money as well, this Mizuno driver. And I just thought, all in all, as an all-rounder, power, accuracy, looks, feel, it's a really good performer, up there with pretty much everything I've tested this year.
Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. My next product, if I can find it down here, is the Vokey SM8 wedge. Now, the tour take-up of this wedge has been like phenomenal. So many contracted, uncontracted players using these wedges. And for me, you know, wedges, you might think technology advances are pretty limited, but it's actually quite dramatic in the case of the SM8. But what I like about what Titleist have done with this is that they've advanced the technology but kept a really traditional classic look. You know, for me personally, now it might be different for other people, but I don't want to look down on rusty faces, funky meal patterns, funky shapes. I just want to look down on a classic teardrop wedge chrome finish. And this one really delivers that, as well as the performance that you expect from a wedge. So really good spin control, really good forgiveness, something that really stands out with this wedge. Does come in a host of different finishes. I think there's 4 different ones available. But you know, if you want a classic chrome wedge that's really going to perform, the SM8 really stood out for me.
Let me ask you, Joel, how is that wedge better than the previous generation? Because I played SM7 in fact, I've still got my SM7 wedge in the bag as it is, and I love it. I think it's a fantastic wedge. How is this generation better than the previous generation?
We're only talking marginal gains, Tabbers, but for me, I feel like it's more forgiving. I feel like it's just a little bit more stable. I feel like it just feels a bit more solid than the previous version, only a little bit. And I think some golfers who go from SM7 to SM8 won't be able to tell a massive difference, or might be able to tell a difference at all. But I just felt like my start lines were a little bit tighter with this, and the consistency of the distances was a little bit better from mid to long range.
Okay, good.
So yeah, what's your next one?
I'm going for this guy. So this is the Odyssey triple track putter family. This one's the number 10 version here, which is kind of, well, that shape that you can see there. But what's most noticeable, obviously, about this, and I can't really hold it in a way that's really going to show it to you, but that triple track alignment on the top of the putter. Now, I tested this for a few days when we went out to the US at the beginning of the year, and I thought it was, I love Odyssey putters. I love the way they feel, and I love the way they perform. And I think that the Stroke Lab shafts that they put in their putters have been a good addition. I think that the grips feel fantastic. It all adds to that premium look and premium feel. But by adding the alignment aid here, I just felt like Odyssey were just lifting the bar and doing something a bit different to everybody else. And it really does stand out. Now, I've got 2 schools of thought on this. Firstly, I think it's great from a kind of instructional perspective. So you can look down at the dress and you can see how effectively you're lined up. On the flip side, is it too much down behind the ball? And different people will have different feelings about that. I always feel like I could do with as much help as I can get in the putter sort of family. So I'd be quite willing to do this. Now, would I be keen to use this in conjunction with the Callaway golf balls that have the triple track alignment on them? So I know that they've been added to the Chrome Soft family this year, so you can do ball and putter. And I tested that quite a lot, and I thought it was great. I thought it worked really well. It is a bit of a faff, because you've got to make sure that the lines are perfectly aiming where you want them to. And ultimately, when you're putting, line is dictated by pace. So I was sort of a bit torn, but would it stop me going for this putter if I was looking for some inspiration in my putting game? No, I might just use it with a ball that was clean. And I think it is great. I think despite the amount that's going on down behind the ball at address, I still think that Odyssey have done a great job of making this putter look like a premium offering. Yeah, so
yeah, good choice, very good choice, Tappers.
Excellent putter.
For me, my next choice is this bad boy here, which is TaylorMade Sim Fairway Wood. Now, you know, genuine standout performance in a category. it's quite hard to achieve these days. No one really makes a bad club, and there's often kind of this sea of sameness with clubs where every club's pretty good. And I could use basically any club from any manufacturer these days. They're all pretty good, but this one really stands out because of how different it is and how much better it launches and flights the ball compared to any other fairway I tested. So I did the Big Golf Monthly Fairway Wood test at the start of this year, tested all the mainstream brands, loads of different models, and they were all flighting kind of similar peak height, so 30 to 32 yards. And then I tested this one, which got the ball up at 38 yards peak height. So it was considerably higher than anything else. And that's really important for a fairway wood because it's a club that typically amateur golfers struggle to get up in the air and struggle to flight really well. So this is really going to give golfers the assistance where they really need it with a fairway wood and actually become quite a versatile club to use into par fives, long par fours. Maybe if the driver's misbehaving, they can use it off the tee. It just offers, something that's really, really going to stand out. It's genuine, tangible performance difference from anything else on the market. And the only problem with it, I suppose, it does come in at a really, really premium price. I think it's £370 for this. So it is around about £100 more expensive than most other models on the market. But I think if you try it, you will genuinely be blown away by what this offers.
That is quite an endorsement, Joe. I mean, for those people out there that remember the V-Steel Fairway Woods, it's got that kind of callback to TaylorMade's past in the V-Steel. I'm sure a lot of people watching this will remember that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can see it on the bottom. It definitely really helps to lower the CG to help get the ball up in the air. And actually, testing it, outdoors off the deck, it kind of helps with the turf interaction. I can't really fault this fairway. I think it looks great. You've got adjustable loft as well. It's just the price that some golfers might struggle with, but it is potentially worth the investment.
Yeah. Well, interesting that you should be talking about how there's not much to choose from different products in different categories. And certainly the driver market this year is one where I've already mentioned, I tested all of the main brands driver offerings for 2020, and they were all superb. The level of performance across the board was excellent. I'd say the biggest kind of point of difference between the drivers was probably, alongside looks, is probably price. But the driver that I chose as my favorite in that test was Callaway's Maverick Sub-Zero, which has the AI face. It has that. So Callaway have got this supercomputer that's helping them design the face technology to maximize speed and forgiveness and make sure that it's sort of performing as well as possible all the way across the face. It has that really classic kind of Callaway look down behind the ball. And for me, this driver was the one that I sort of clicked with. So I just seemed to hit shot after shot after shot, and it was long and it was straight, and I thought it sounded much better than the previous generation driver. So yeah, I thought, I mean, Callaway, they make great products, don't they, across the board. You're not expecting to test any of their products out and find that it's not very good. But this one sort of probably, I'd say, exceeded my expectations. And really, this was the one that really proved, I think, to me, that the AI stuff that Callaway are working on is making sort of a big tangible difference to their products in a good way. Question, thoughts on the sort of shelf appeal view?
Yeah, I like it. It's a fine balance because brands want their products to stand out, A, on the shelf, and B, when tour pros are using it. So, when someone's seeing it from a distance away, it needs to be recognizable. So it needs to have something that's going to really pop off visually. So they can't really win. I think it strikes a nice balance to me in terms of offering, some flashes of color, but not being too in your face.
That's a good point. It's a good point, Joel. I'm not such a big fan of the view from the sole, but I think the view from a dress more than makes up for it. That's really where it matters.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, so the last club I have on my list, you might be surprised to see, is the Wilson Launchpad. So this is an iron that I never thought I would like.
I'll just interrupt you here, Joel. I'm not surprised to see it because I was there when you were testing it, and I know how much you liked it when you hit it.
You saw how it put a smile on my face, didn't you? Because it's an iron that you look down and you think. I mean, if I can show you this, but it's basically kind of like a hybrid iron. So it's obviously really chunky. It's obviously not designed for a golfer, of my standard, single figure. This is definitely designed for higher handicappers, beginners. And you think about those golfers, their problem is always going to be around strike and consistency. And this club, the way it's been designed with this really wide sole, it's not a brand new concept by any means, but the way that Wilson have done it means that if you do catch the big ball before the little ball, so to speak, the ground before the ball, this is really going to help negate the effects of fat shots. So, for my testing, I did a live test on the video I did on this. So I hit my current iron against this club, tried to hit them deliberately heavy on both, and this club enabled the ball to fly a good 60, 70 yards further with a fat shot compared to a traditional iron with a narrow sole. So clearly, if you struggle with strike, you can see it's got a really wide sole. It's going to not only help with the launch, but it's going to help the club not dig into the ground, and it just makes the game a little bit easier.
And perhaps in these days, there might be a few more people out there who are interested in picking up golf because it's one of the sports you can actually play. If you're looking for a set of irons that's going to let you get away with the odd miss hit, then maybe.
Oh, unquestionably, and these come in at a pretty reasonable price. I think it's much less than most of the iron sets out there. So yeah, definitely a good investment if you're just starting out.
Okay, so on to my next one, and this is my sort of joker in the pack. Joel, the one that I was probably, just didn't really think that I'd be falling in love with this one quite in the way that I did, and I know that you're probably going to laugh because
No, I'm not, because you've told me many times how much you love this club, so it doesn't surprise me.
This is the Cleveland front line putter, and I'll try and show you the address for you. I'm sure I've got a cutaway that I can drop onto the video. So that's what it looks like. You can see the black finish, but you can also see these two tungsten weights at the front here. And the idea behind this putter is that Cleveland have pushed all of the weight forward in the head, which should reduce the gear effect. So if you hit it slightly out of the toe or out of the heel, gear effects I'm sure most people watching this, many people watching this will know that gear effects in woods are designed to help bring the ball back into play. So if you hit the ball out of the toe with the driver, the face will open and it will create side spin and it will bring the ball back into play. Just picture in your mind some of those horrible toe shots you've hit in the past, have gone out right and then roaring back into the fairway. You look like an amazing golfer. Now you've hit it right out the toe. This has been designed so that the face doesn't kind of open up when you hit it out of the toe or out of the heel, so that actually the start line is much better. It's more what you're looking for. But the reason that I like this putter so much is just the look of it. That sort of matte, really stealthy matte black finish with the very simple single white alignment and the square look as well, which helps in a similar way to the triple track putters. It just really gives you some good feedback on how well aligned you are. That also combined with, it's got this sort of, you can't really see too well on camera, it's got this sort of black shaft and a really good lambkin grip that feels fantastic in the hand. So I think as an overall proposition, this putter it just feels and looks really premium. Cleveland know how to produce really good looking clubs, and this is definitely one of them.
Good. Yeah, definitely worth trying if you struggle on the greens. Right, so it's down to my last pick, and obviously we've done all clubs so far, so I think it's about time we mix it up a little bit. And I've gone for the FootJoy Pro SL Carbon golf shoe. To be honest with you, Tappers, I think this might be the best spikeless golf shoe ever made. Big claim. There's been a lot of spikeless shoes in the past, yeah. But I mean, the reason I like this shoe, it's lightweight. It has all the comfort that you would want and expect from a spikeless shoe, but it's got the grip and stability that you would expect from a cleated product. And I've done a lot of testing of shoes recently on force plates and TrackMan and things like that, that basically show the more stable, for me anyway, the more stable a golf shoe is. So the less the foot is moving during the swing, the more it increases your swing speed, your consistency of strike, and your distance that therefore you can generate. And this golf shoe is one of the most stable spikeless shoes. You can see how rigid it is in this direction in terms of twisting the outsole. That stability will, for most golfers, translate into better performance. I think golfers historically have just looked at golf shoes as things that cover their feet when they play golf, but actually there is tangible benefits, marginal admittedly, but let's face it, we're all looking for marginal gains in every area of our equipment. Yeah, plus it looks great. I think it's got this really nice padding around the ankle that makes it feel soft and comfortable, but it just gives you that support that you really need when you're swinging really hard with a driver. You need good grip and support, and this really delivers that. It comes with a few colours as well, and it's definitely one of the best looking shoes as well. So we thoroughly recommend people give it a try if they're looking for a new pair of shoes. FootJoy Pro SL Carbon, love it. So Neil, that's my 5. What about your 5th and final product of 2020?
I also didn't go for a golf club. I went for a ball. and I've gone for, and I don't know how many people would have had the chance to have tested this just yet. I've gone for the TaylorMade Tour Response. So this comes into the line in terms of price, just a little bit under TP5 and TP5X. So per dozen, you're looking at around about £10 less per dozen than TP5, TP5X. I had a quick look before this video, and I think you can buy it online for around about £35 per dozen. And the thing about this golf ball is that even though it's not at that TP5 level, it comes with a urethane cover. So you get the sort of feel and performance benefits of urethane in a golf ball that's not quite so expensive. That's the key talking point. And I had a chance to test this out properly, again, out in the US at the start of the year on I'd say a really quite firm and dry golf course where you can really see the performance of the golf ball around the greens. And it was really around the greens where I thought it stood out. And I thought it did offer really good feel and, you know, excellent spin control, especially when you're chipping around the greens. I mean, TaylorMade have also introduced a ball called the Soft Response. And I hit the two side by side, and you could see this one checking up on the second bounce, as you would expect from a premium golf ball. I don't think you're going to get all of those performance benefits that you're going to get with the TP5 or the TP5X in the long game. But to be honest with you, I always find, I don't know about you, Joel, but when I'm testing golf balls, I find it quite hard in the long game to really quantify the differences when my strike might be causing certain shots just to spin a bit more or spin a bit less, or, you know, the wind catches a shot. It can be quite hard to really fully judge just how well a golf ball is performing or how it's performing.
Yeah, it's very, sorry, yeah, I'll say it's very difficult, like you say, shot per shot. There's so many factors that influence the flight and distance of a ball. And actually, I think you'll agree that we've seen the difference between balls at the top end of the price points and the balls underneath it is definitely narrowing. There's definitely the gaps in performance is definitely smaller now. And like you say, with the urethane cover, you know, when you're hitting short game shots with it, you're not activating the layers underneath. So if you've got a urethane cover versus a urethane cover, ultimately the spin should be pretty similar. And I think we'd agree, we've definitely seen that with this ball.
Yeah, and do you know, I don't know if this is me being a bit odd, which is possible, but I much prefer the look of a urethane covered golf ball. Like the fact that this urethane has these sort of premium looking golf balls have a slightly more of a darker, less shiny finish to them, and this has that. This feels like you're playing a premium golf ball to look down on. I know that sounds very shallow, but it did feel like a really good ball. And certainly if you're somebody that's looking for a urethane covered ball, but that you perhaps don't want to be spending the sort of money that you need to be spending to get some of the premium urethane covered golf balls out there, then well, TaylorMade have the Tour Response for you to try.
Definitely worth a try when the pro shops finally open again, whenever that may be, hopefully soon.
Yeah, that's it, Joel. How do you feel about your selection of 5?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident with mine. I think, you know, across the 10 that we've picked, you know, hopefully the guys or girls watching, maybe it's inspired them to try one or two. If there's a gap in their set that they really need to improve on, I think we've covered all different categories there, from drivers, fairways, irons, wedges, putts and balls. So yeah, you know, hopefully there's a product there that really stands out for them. They can try it and hopefully fill a gap in their games.
Well said. Okay, so there you have it. That was mine and Joel's selection of our favourite equipment launches of 2020 so far. Guys, what did you think? Of the 10 that we chose, which do you think was the most interesting? Which do you think could make the biggest difference to your game? We'd be interested to hear your thoughts. And also, if you have managed to get out there and buy new golf equipment for 2020, what have you got and how's it going? We'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.